And we are going live. It looks like Carlos is already on. Says we're there. Who's on? There are two people. One of them's you. One of them's me. So there's nobody. Maybe. We'll see. We'll give people a couple minutes to jump in. I want to do a sound check with anybody who is watching. We're also... Who's streaming right now? Fish of Hex. Travis is streaming.
Oh, yeah.
So that may limit some of who may come over and play. We shall see. Oh, here we got a couple. What's up, y'all? Can you please do a sound check for me? And Cindy, if you could say something, I'd appreciate it.
Something. How's that?
Yeah, that was good. If y'all could give us a thumbs up, let me know how the sound sounds. Let me know how the video looks. We should be okay. Cool. Is the sound aligned with the video? Because I had a problem with that yesterday. What's up, Seth? Oh, do you see Cindy now? There she is.
Do you see me now?
All right, so hey everybody, thank you for joining. Super awesome today to have Reef Girl Cindy sharing some time so we could talk some Orphek lights, which I'm pretty excited to open. I've had this box since a few days, and I've been waiting for you to be online so I can open it. Go. Say something awesome.
I don't know how you stopped yourself from opening it right away, although I can kind of relate because it took me about a week to open them when they came because I had to be ready to get video, and you know what that's like, right?
I do. So I know I mentioned over on Instagram that we'd be doing par readings. The par meter is downstairs, and I'm not going to run down. We had a little technical difficulty, of course, getting this stream started. But it looks like everything's working okay. She's a bit loud, but not too loud, so I will drop her down just a little bit.
Yep, I can turn me down if you want.
Nope, you're okay.
We're all right.
I think we're good to go. Who do we got? We got... see, you're real good with your shout-outs. That's what you do when you're live streaming.
I try, but I can't keep up sometimes.
We got a good crowd on here, and thanks y'all for joining. That's awesome. What's up, Redneck? What's up, Kevin? Davis.
Hey, Sean.
We got Aaron's on. Aaron's been on a couple times this weekend. This is a little bit of a marathon live stream weekend for me. First, I sucked out loud doing this on Friday, and if anybody watched that stream, y'all know how bad that was. Moki and I got to talk for a little bit in the end after Ben jumped off, but it was bad. And then yesterday worked out pretty well. I had Bahama Llama on, and we talked through a whole bunch of stuff, and some of it was even about corals, but my audio was a little jacked up, and they weren't aligned all that well. What's up, Carlos? All right, so let's get to it, because this doesn't necessarily... Oh, this is an official Boxes and Booze, isn't it? For you, it's Boxes and Tea?
I do. I have my rooibos tea right here. Cheers. Looks like I'm freezing up.
Nope. You're okay here.
Okay. All right.
You look all right. So this has been sitting in my craft room for, I don't know, 5 days or so. And here's why I'm super intrigued. If anybody's following me, you know that I have recently purchased a black box from AliExpress, which looks just like the Reef Breeders, which looks just like the Orphek. So I'm wondering if they're all the same lights, if they're made in the same factories, if they ship with different drivers, different LEDs, different lenses, but the housings all look the same. Cindy, you want to give me a little background on your Orphek? I know you're a fan.
I'm a huge fan. I can't remember where I first heard of them, but I had T5s on my tank for probably almost a year. I had started looking for a cost-effective way to put up T5s, and I saw a posting on Facebook using hydroponic lights, so that's what I did. And I got superactinic bulbs from Geisman
Hmm.
and used those, and the corals responded to them definitely, but I never really liked how it looked. I wasn't a fan of the flatness of it. I never really cared much for the color. So I started looking around and then I read about Orphek coming out with bar LEDs because previously they had only the Atlantic
Hmm.
and those, the square type, the arrays. And when I saw them and then I saw the price, I thought, I got to try and see what these things are like. So I ordered some. I don't know whether they still do it now, but at the time the shipping was free worldwide.
Yep.
And I did a video about how much I love them, all the costs and everything, and how I set them up is in there. But I have to say, I am in love with how they make my tank look, how my corals respond. I have not done any par measurements or anything like that. I just go by how the corals look, and they fluff up like you can't believe when those things are on. I run them about 5 hours a day right now. I have two Blue Plus,
Hmm.
don't have any of the daylight type that they have, and I'm a huge fan to the point where I'm seriously thinking my next build is going to be all Orphek. Right now, I have them either side of a Kessel AP700.
Okay.
I like it. However, there are places in the tank the light just couldn't reach that are now filled in by the Orphek bar lights. And I have some short videos that I've taken of things you can see when the Orpheks are on that you can't see any other time
Gotcha.
because the lights just doesn't reach there. So I'm a huge fan because of the quality of the build. The customer service was very good
Hmm.
whenever I had to contact them with a question or whatever, and of course the price. They were less than half the price of Reef Brights here in Canada. I'm not sure how that compares in
That's
the
interesting.
U.S.,
Okay.
but yeah,
So Reef Bright of similar length, 24 inch, that's what this is 160, 170. I'd have to look. Please check me on that. Those of you cool people in the chat. But this is anywhere between, this Orphec is anywhere between 127 and 140. It just depends on where you get it. So absolutely less expensive than a Reef Bright at the same dimension, and also offers a greater spectrum range. So I believe it starts down around 420 and works its way up north of 470. I could look that up also,
I
but
think I think mine is at 380. It goes as low as 380.
the blue.
So
Okay, so I'll have to read it
the Blue
because
Plus,
what I
yeah,
was reading didn't suggest that it actually had UV, but the spectrometer will tell the truth.
yeah, and I think of it as near UV as opposed to actual UV.
I got you.
So
So for my from my experience, near UV is anything from 315, 316 up to 400. So that's
yeah,
UVA. UVB is below 316.
yeah,
So, yeah, anything up around the 380 that you would see in light is actual near UV, and then 400 hits visible. So,
yeah.
anything you can see is then above 400 nanometers. Uh, I tend to be too much of a actually geek when it comes to lighting, and I apologize for that, but it's one of my odd traits, I suppose. Somebody asked what I'm drinking. I'm drinking a little bit of you said tea, right?
I did.
I'm having a little bit of I think it's Jack Daniel's honey. I had chicken pot pie for dinner, and that was tasty.
Nice.
I'm introducing. Have you watched Glee? It's a while ago. The show's been off for a while. We're catching a lot of
Uh,
reruns.
I don't watch a lot of TV.
I got you. So we're binge watching. I normally don't. Uh, Ever since my son was born, he's now 13. our existence has been just binge watching. So it was binge watching little cartoons or Baby Einsteins, and we worked our way past some prepper show that he found on Netflix, and now it's Glee as well. So I won't tell you I was bawling earlier because it was one of those kind of episodes, but yeah, it's been one of those kind of Sundays.
Yep.
That's
Yep. Great
that,
opportunity to fill in with, if you have to be in, you might as well fill in with binge watching.
that's right. All right, so let's open this sucker up and take a look. Um, you mentioned customer service. I had great customer service. I ordered directly from the factory. Great communication. This is really packed well. I can tell you that the bar I got from AliExpress was not packed this well. It came in a tube
Oh.
and just had a little bit of foam in it. This is substantial foam. You know, you can see a little bit. That's good. Taped up really nice. I'm actually, you'll find this interesting, I suppose. I'm hoping it's the same construction as the one that I got, the black bar light, because it's made nice. The extruded aluminum is really clean, and it's absolutely different.
Hmm.
And it has a switch, and it has a similar driver, a 40-watt driver. And I'm gonna get tangled up in my cords. The brackets.
Those are the hanging
Yep.
brackets in the kit. Yep.
Yep. I'll be able to connect that. That's a better kit than what I got from AliExpress, I can tell you that.
There's a bit of a trick to it as well.
If for the hanging kit, what's the trick?
The bracket actually slides into a groove that's on the top of the housing
Mm-hmm.
from the ends, and it's suspended from the bracket. So that was a little bit of a trick that took us a bit to figure out.
This is absolutely nicer quality than what I have downstairs. The bar, I have 3 Reef Brights, so I have 2 of the smaller ones. That's what lights my Fuge, and then I have one 24-inch all blue. Well, all of them are all blue. This is really nice. This is way nicer than I expected, to be honest. It's interesting. When I see the pictures online, I had convinced myself that I was going to see the same light again. But this is really nicely made.
Well, in the lens cover is tempered glass as opposed to being Lexan or whatever type of acrylic they use.
Everything's lined up nicely. The LEDs are lined up. The glass it's beautiful.
It's actually
So
polished,
does
like
the
beveled.
does the edge glow when it's illuminated? Because it looks like
Yes,
it
it
almost
does.
would. Oh, see,
Yeah, it
that's
does.
super cool. So I'm fawning over this light that I paid for. They didn't hook me up with this, so keep that in mind. I
Yeah,
think that's
same with me. I bought mine. I had a slight discount because they were running a promotion at the time.
mm-hmm.
It was, I think, $20 off per light, and that was it. But I love them.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the spectrum is actually. Any tricks with the? I mean, other than the mounting, any tricks with the light? Any challenges with the lights? Is it just a set and forget kind of thing?
Yeah, it's on or off.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing to figure out, basically.
I'm gonna plug it in real quick. I have the kilowatt behind the monitor, so excuse me while I stand up and get myself untangled. I need a wireless mic hooked or wireless headset hooked up to this mic. Oh, let's look at this plug real quick because you and I had talked about this.
Hmm. Yeah, that's not 12-volt wire, is it? Or is it heavier than that?
Um, the driver is only so. I mean, you could do the math and you could run 12 volts through it really easily at probably 1 or 2 amps, but this is a 30 to 60 volt. It's a constant amperage at
Hmm.
about half an amp. It's 400 or 450 milliamps. So it's a constant current driver with variable voltage up to 60 volts.
So heavy duty,
Well, about what you would expect to see with any 12-volt driver, because if
right?
this were 12, you would just do the math and bring up the amperage. So,
I'm not
uh,
even going to pretend I know what that means, but I kind of generally understand the relationship because we had to map our house and figure out the total amperage
mhm.
of all of the equipment I was going to be using in the reef room, fish room. Sharbuckle, Sean, I'm stealing your name, reef room. Sounds so much nicer than fish room. So when it came to amperage of all the equipment, we had to look into it and make sure we weren't going to overload what we had available. So I
Gotcha.
do get how that works.
So I could hook up a constant voltage driver to this, which would be I could do 12 volts potentially, but then it would have to be a substantial amperage to get all of these things fired up. I have a 60 watt 0 to 10 driver, but I think this is constant voltage. I would have to look at that. Probably not going to use it with this light. If I'm going to cook any light, it'll be the one from AliExpress, not this one. Also worth noting, and you and I talked about this, but
Yeah.
this is the current USA dimmer that I use on the Reef Bright.
Hmm.
The Reef Bright is a 24 volt. It's a constant voltage driver. I don't think I can use it on this because this driver is constant current and up to 60 volts. This thing can only handle 24 volts. So change of plans. I'll figure that out. But let me plug it in because I'm blown away how pretty it is. You know what you don't get with a Reef Bright? It's not pretty. I mean, it works. It works really well, but it's not nice looking. This is nice looking and less expensive.
The way these things look hanging over my tank, I just love walking into the room every day and seeing that.
Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, so I have it plugged into the kilowatt. I'm going to aim it away because it'll burn my retinas. It'll fry me. It won't, but whatever.
Well, they do say, you shouldn't be looking right into it. Pretty
Yeah,
bright.
I have a laser sitting behind me. You can probably see it. Um, that you can't look at. Otherwise,
Mm-mm.
you're not gonna see your grandchildren anymore. Yeah, that thing there. But
It'll be the last thing you see.
and I've got, or you're gonna see a whole lot of spots. And then I take my fancy laser glasses, and then I get this look. But I don't need that for this. Okay, powered up. That's a good blue. It is pulling 28 watts, so I'll let it cook for a little bit. So what they did is they gave you an overpowered driver, so you're not running your driver at its max, which is good. So the light operates in the comfortable range of that driver. So it shouldn't overheat. It may get a little warm, but it may not at all get warm. We'll see.
I have never encountered them warm at
Okay.
all. Yeah.
As as you can see, it's making, and you can just about pick out the spectrum from the
Mm-hmm.
purple of the light. So you can see it in one, two, three. It looks like there's maybe four different lamps in there that they're using.
Yeah, they have charts on their website that
Mm-hmm.
show the distribution and the type of LED.
Had we not had difficult or technical difficulties, I would have had that up and been able to read it and sounded smart. But I'll just go with the dumb guy in the room approach.
Hey, listen, that's 20 times more than you've got coming out of me.
Whew. That was part of the discussion we had last night with Remy Bahama Llama. Is some of the things I worked on in the past were just I was lucky to be associated with them. One of them was a laser project in the Air Force, and And all right, there's a whole bunch of rocket scientists in that place. There's very little difference between a big high-powered laser and a rocket. Um, and it was just crazy to be in the room with these amazing scientists who I would just sit in there just so I could figure out what they were saying. And it was like hanging out with pilots on a long haul flight when you can hear them talk. When you first get on the headset, you have no idea what they're saying. By the time you're done with an 18-hour flight or so, you're starting to catch on.
Yep.
It was like that with those projects. So I was just a dumb old aircraft electrician sitting with a whole bunch of genius types learning their lingo, and it was enjoyable. I'm a big nerd like that.
Yep. I hear you.
So this is a spectrometer. This is the same device that Bulk Reef Supply uses. This is the one that Randy uses all the time when they're doing their light checks.
I'm actually a little nervous.
Don't be, which is hilarious.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I love them, but I'm actually nervous. Like, oh my God, what if they don't measure up?
Oh, they will, because I can already see the bulb. So before I take a shot, a Reef Bright has 450 and 470 nanometer lamps. Nanometer. It's just two different lamps. Every other. This has more. I can already see it. Yeah, this has a lot more. I'm gonna turn this off so you can see. I think my dogs are barking, which is not a euphemism for my feet are sore. I think my dogs are actually barking. So from this graph,
Hmm.
I'll put it back here like that.
Yep.
Um, you know what? Where's my phone? It looks to be just about ATI Blue Plus. I don't know if that's intentional. I mean, they call it a Blue Plus for a reason. The only difference is ATI Blue Plus has a little bit of green for no reason at all. I don't know why you want. I don't think you need green. Certainly isn't going to help with photosynthesis.
Mm-mm.
It's just for your eyeballs, your human eyes. That I don't want to light a tank for my eyes. I want to light it for the corals and see what they
Hmm.
do. But nope, it's a little different. So I don't know if you can see that. So check my Instagram. This was on March 20th. I posted um, what a Reef Bright looks like as compared to a ATI Blue Plus, and the ATI Blue Plus is the outline in that picture. There's a little white outline, so it almost covers it. This is a substantial low visible range spectrum that I'm seeing from this Orphek. So it comes up strong right around 400, 410. It has a peak at 425-ish, and then has a huge peak up around 460 and carries into that's a whole lot of nice blue. Now I understand why you like how your corals look.
Hmm.
It's giving you everything that makes the corals look nice.
Well, I know they redesigned the color spectrum at some point before I got my light, because when I first ordered it, the availability was daylight,
Mm-hmm.
and one that they called UV/blue, or there was another one that had blues and UVs. The UV was in the name of that spectrum. And then they changed it and came out with a slightly different array that they called Blue Plus.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if it's meant to cover, the ATI Blue Plus that people find so desirable. But I don't know, because I'm not super up to speed on all the different T5s. I couldn't even tell you what they I just know I had super actinic
Gotcha. So I've personally
because it
shot.
was
I
for
have.
coral.
Yep. Gotcha. I have.
Yeah.
I have Blue Plus. I have a T5. I have two T5 fixtures downstairs. One of them I'm using over that 20-gallon tank that I need to get rid of because eventually it's going to crash and destroy my basement and kill everything in the system. And then another one in the garage, which was a 4 bulb meant for agriculture, and it works just fine. I think it was one of the ones that fans using over at Tidal Gardens.
Yeah.
So in that I had Coral Plus and Blue Plus. So I've shot them with the spectrometer, so I know what those look like. So what I'm gonna do is I'll take what I just shot with this and I'll overlay it. I'll overlay the Blue Plus on top of this. This has a nice big bat blue spectrum, and I just love that kind of light. You know what I wanted? I'm gonna overlay that DIY light that I made. I want to
Hmm.
overlay that on top of this because actually those two are very close, so that's cool.
The blue sensei.
The Blue Sensei. That wasn't me. I didn't name that.
But
Kim
hey, if it fits.
Kim named that. Uh, so I'm super happy that you were talking about these because that's a.
Well,
Go ahead.
I I don't make changes very readily.
Hmm.
So it takes me a very long time and a lot of research and a lot of thought and consideration before I would make a change. And it probably took me about 3 months to decide to finally go ahead with this. Um, and I'm so glad I did
Yep.
because it was the right thing to do. So, I'm not what you call an early adopter, not anymore. And something's got to be good before I'll even think about it.
Hmm.
I have not drunk of the Radeon Kool-Aid. I just, I can't bring myself to even think of spending that kind of money on lights when there are alternatives that measurable difference. I don't know. I have no idea how they would compare
Are the Canadian
spectrum
prices between
wise.
a AP700 and an XR30 because those are the same price range? Are the
Uh,
prices in Canada different?
they reflect exchange for one thing, and we always get gouged because of
Okay.
the variability in the exchange. And mine was with tax was 1350 Canadian for my
Okay.
AP 700.
All right.
At the time, that was 3 years ago, so
Mm-hmm.
almost four now, actually.
So just looking at U.S. dollar, the because you'll see a lot of comparisons with a 360X and a Radeon, and I think the fair comparison is a 360X and an XR15. Those are the
Yeah,
same general wattage. I think the Kessel's a little lower, but you get some simplicity with the Kessel that you don't necessarily get with a Radeon. But an AP700 and an XR30, it's the same category, same class of light. So
right.
really nice, well made, top of the line light. Um, and 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 I have many used, one new, but many used XR30s. Um, I don't have the newest. I have two Gen 4s, one Gen 3, and three Gen 2s.
Hmm.
Um, pretty much set and forget for me.
Yep.
You could do that with USB, or you could do it with that whatever that little box is that they sell. But the newest are using Mobius. I'm a Mobius beta tester. Mobius is a cool platform. So my Gen 4 XR30s are on Mobius. So
Hmm.
but still, you just set and forget, right? I mean, if you're playing with the light, then you're probably using the light wrong. Set it to the
Yeah.
spectrum that you need, and then just leave it alone, like I'm sure you do with the AP.
I have not touched my Kessel light in, I can't even tell you how. Every once in a while, I have to reconnect it.
Okay.
And that's if I need to go in and if I want to change the profile to a filming profile, which has more white,
Yep.
depending on what it is I'm doing. Quite often, my iPad app can't find the light and I have to reset it.
Okay.
But it remembers everything. It takes about 30 seconds. It's annoying, but that's just because I am who I am. And
I gotcha.
that's about all I ever do. Oh my God, my background on my screen just changed, and now I look like I've got evil red. Anyhow, yeah, so the Kessel is set and forget
Yep.
largely for me. I don't mess around with it. And the Orpheks are like to me it was the 48-inch length that
Hmm.
filled in a lot of space that the cone-shaped light just couldn't, like the spread just couldn't reach.
Yep.
And I think that's made a huge difference. So,
That's I mean that's why a
yeah.
lot of people go T5, right? Especially with
Yeah.
Kessels, because you get two 360Xs or you get that AP 700, and they're using the
Yep.
Aquatic Life T5s, and that
Yep.
gives you that makes a whole lot of people happy. But I'm a big LED nerd, and there's no way I'm gonna run T5s like all the time. I'll use them when I need to, like I'm doing downstairs right now. But yeah, you kind of don't. This is going to put out the power of probably two, and that's easy for me to confirm. Two T5s.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's still this is a decent price. You get two of these, and and straddle whatever Kessel or Ecotech light you have, and you're adding it. You're probably making the corals just explode with color.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing too is that bracket is adjustable so you can tilt the light to whatever angle you want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it compares to others in how they're mounted, but it's very, very easy. You loosen the screws, you adjust it how you want it, you tighten the screws, and you're done.
Gotcha.
And I have it on about I want to say a 60-degree angle, the
Mm-hmm.
front one, so that it shines into the center of the tank, and it works really well.
I'll configure this bracket so I can see what it looks like, and then there's about a 100% chance that this is going to replace that that black box bar. So what I won't do, so the Reef Bright, I have two XR30s like this, and then the Reef Bright runs right through the middle where the fans are. So the XR30s are kind of straddling the Reef Bright, and it was a pain. I made this bracket to hold it there in place, and it was a pain to put there, so I'm not going to move that. But I'd like this hanging off the side only because it'll because it's pretty. It's going to give me the chance to look at it too
Yeah.
because it's just really nicely made.
Well, in the video, what we did was we used the existing T5 plastic hanging bracket
Mm-hmm.
and screwed that to a short piece of essentially 1x2 strapping that my husband painted black. And that's what the lights are hung from.
Got it.
It's very, very tidy. There's a single wire that goes to the ceiling on each end. And it really looks kind of industrial. I really like it. Very clean and simple.
Yep.
Nothing on the tank. It's all hanging from the ceiling. So that's all in the video if you want some ideas on how they all work
Oh yeah, I'll
together.
absolutely look. Thank you. I'm just surprised how pretty it is. I didn't expect this. I absolutely expected what I have downstairs in the basement right now, and this is not that. This is better. So now I'm looking forward to taking par readings just to see how it compares. I think it is the same wattage as a Reef Bright. Reef Bright's right around 30 watts, and this is what I say, 28 and change. Whew.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep, 28 and change. So very much the same thing. Interesting. As it heats up too, it may pull in a little more power. Huh. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I think
Good.
you unintentionally made me an Orphek fan, but
Oh dear.
I think you probably knew I was going to end up there anyway after I
Well,
saw the thing.
hey, it's one of those things where I shared your surprise when I opened them up because I couldn't believe how hefty they were,
Yep,
how nice the housing is. It's really, really nicely finished. The glass, for heaven's sake, the edges of the glass are beveled.
they are.
They're polished in a bevel.
Yep.
You know, just like the better reef tanks that are rimless have that beveled edge on them. Really, really nice.
And it's not silver as much as it is like a midnight silver. So whatever Apple calls not their silver, the other one, the titanium finish or something, that's what this looks like.
Yeah, I think of it as gunmetal,
Yep.
sort of gray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I was going to take it apart because I wanted to see what. I'm not going to do that because now I don't want to mess it up because it looks nice. We got to get Tommy sent me another one so I can take it apart. I want to see.
Yes, that's right. Just tell him if he's got a scratch and dent, you'll be
That's
happy to take it
yeah.
apart so
If
you
you
can
got
see
one
what's
bent in half,
inside.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool. So interesting. I mean, they've been hit with supply chain issues like everybody else has who's sourcing equipment from China,
Yeah.
and these are out of stock most everywhere. Uh, and and I ordered from the factory, and like I said, and it took a little while. It didn't take that long, maybe 2 3 weeks, and then it
Yeah,
showed
I
up.
feel like it was just a couple weeks.
Yep. Huh. Like if this will piss people off. If Apple made an LED light bar, it would look like this. That's going to irritate some people. All two of you. So we got 12 people watching. Uh, if you don't mind, let's take a look through the chat because I have been slacking on the chat. Did you see anything that jumped out at you?
Somebody congratulated you on what you're drinking or asked what the drink was tonight.
Oh, yeah, I touched on that. Who was that? It was at Redneck? Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, look, Carlos 23 says my favorite reef girl. Well, Carlos, you're my favorite Carlos. So there you go.
I understand that Carlos is also a sensei. That's what I just recently read, did I not? Who was it? See, this is that awkward moment where I'm scrolling through stuff instead of talking to the camera or talking to you.
Don't worry, I feel bad sometimes. People see a lot of the top of my head when I'm looking at the chat. Not much you can do about it until they reorganize how the screen's laid out.
I got you. Calypso.
Um,
So is Hector. Hector, who I learned
oh
about
yeah,
from
yeah,
you, which is, and
yeah.
if I can successfully swing this monitor, I'll mute so I don't piss everybody off. I had to talk to my Echo, my Amazon Echo. So if I swing this a little more, there you go.
Oh,
That's the Pixie 30 that I think
oh
Hector's
right.
running over his tanks,
Yep,
right? He has two of those over each tank.
yep.
Is it Hector with the Twin Cities?
Yes, they're
Yeah. Okay.
14 gallons. Yeah.
Yep. So he hit me up because he wanted to see what par readings I was getting from that light, and they were surprisingly good actually.
Hmm.
So thanks to you and Hector that I learned about that light and put that thing in the Pico over top of the Pico. And then I think Hector was talking about how Carlos is his sensei.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a
Yeah,
student.
Hector is one of those guys that can find things.
Mm-hmm.
He finds stuff, filters and pumps and things like that that are off names and tries them out and has found a lot of pretty decent equipment
Yeah, I like that.
in the time I've been following him. Seth Gundel is asking if I would run the V4 compacts with the Orphek Blue Plus. What are the V4 compacts?
Those are the
Are
little
those the
ones.
fluorescent?
Aren't
The
those
little
the? Isn't that the little Orphic panel light?
I don't know.
I can't
I
see
know
what I'm
they're
typing.
Atlantic. Oh, the V4 compact. That's
Yeah,
the
the
time. That's the small one. Gotcha.
small light with a hoss of a price. So this is, I have to assume, based on price, up around an X. How many watts?
Yeah, Seth, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that light, but
Ooh,
I
that's a
think
lot of
that's the
watts.
light that Billy Pipes did a video about. He did try it on one of his tanks. So he has some information. I don't know whether you could hit him up and see whether
Yeah,
he
he
could
did
answer
have this
that.
light. Um, that is a lot of power. So it's a 165 watt light. 160-watt light, you wouldn't run the whites all the time. So it's probably running around 100 watts, which is what my XR30s are running with whatever that spectrum is that I can't remember right now. AB plus. So you absolutely, do you have one or two where you're thinking about, Seth? Because there's no reason at all why you couldn't run one of those V4s with two of these bars, one on each side, and it would extend out like what Cindy was talking about with the T5s,
Yeah.
or getting rid of shadowing on the other side of the AP700. And yeah,
Yeah.
you would effectively be setting them up like a hybrid, like you would with T5s, only sticking with all LEDs, which would be nice. So yes, I think short
Yeah.
answer, without having done it myself, but with what I have downstairs in the basement, you totally could do it. You have two of them running one over my Nuvo. So Seth already had. You have two of the V4s. Nice. Never used a reactor. Adam, I will look for that message. Thanks. Carlos, we are all a student of this hobby, and we will be until we croak, and then the next ones take our place. I think I think there's absolutely no getting around continuous learning in this hobby.
Yep. That's what makes you come back for more.
I've been doing this 7 years, and I know nothing. It's funny.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 for me, and I feel exactly the same. I can't I I think I mentioned on one of my live streams, I went down a rabbit hole a couple of weeks ago. I was looking for something and I started watching a couple of my videos to find what I was looking for. And 3 hours later, I had spent all that time watching the videos and and they're from a couple of years ago and I'm thinking, I knew nothing. What like how would I it was
I
unbelievable how I
I'd
couldn't
argue
believe
that
it.
a whole lot has
Yeah,
changed in the hobby over the last 3 years. I think there's been an evolution of the hobby, a very
definitely.
rapid evolution. We learned a whole lot. We all went through that UL ultra low nutrient thing, and then we all decided that was a really bad
Yep.
idea. And then we decided nutrients are a good thing. But that, the advent of quality LEDs in the last 5 years, I mean, all of this is still pretty new.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I never had the nutrient thing. I was ahead of my time because my nutrients were always
All
way too
right,
high.
good.
So you've just given me a new perspective on
you
that.
you are from the future.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see.
So yeah, it's definitely something where you never ever stop learning as long as you keep an open mind.
I totally agree with that. And you got to keep an open mind. If you think you got it all figured out, it's working just for you, I think.
Yeah.
Redneck, you were talking about. Are you? I assume you're talking about a calcium reactor. You're asking about a reactor, best bang for your buck. I do not run a calcium reactor. I dose. I will try to talk Moki into getting a calcium reactor so I can learn from his experience. Cindy, what are you running? I should know
As
this. You're
far as
dosing? Yeah.
I'm dosing, I have the
Okay.
Balling Light system, and I add Coral Essentials, the foundation, the
Mm-hmm.
Amino, the Power Grow, and Trace ABC. But I have to be careful with the Trace because my Balling Light system also
Okay.
includes trace elements when you mix the solutions. So I run about a half dose of what they recommend. And as I run out of my balling salts, I probably will be switching over to
Okay.
something else. And I'm trying to decide
What's
what.
your
I don't know
alkalinity?
yet. It runs generally around
Okay.
8.5, but I've had it up over 10 recently so that I could do all this fragging. And then it kind of got away on me with all the healing and got down to 6.8 over the course of
Yep.
maybe 10 days. So now I'm slowly getting it
You
back up to
you and I did the
8.5 again.
exact same thing. That's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, it's all the I thought I was ready for the quantities that would be consumed with the fragging because
Hmm.
all that healing goes on and the use
I
just
wasn't ready.
skyrockets. And then well, then you take the frags out of your tank and take them to the fish store to trade them in, and that's when you
Yep.
really have to be careful because you have to adjust again for less uptake. It's
I
just
went
never ending.
exactly to 6.8, just like you. It's interesting.
Yep.
Um, which bar would you buy between the Orphek, Reapright, or other brand? You, Cindy will speak to the Orphek. I don't have experience other than taking it out of the box and plugging it in and falling in love with the way it looks.
I think the thing about the Orphec is the bars are great for what we're doing, which is supplementing a smaller LED puck. For in my case, the AP700. And my next build, I will probably be getting the larger Orphec
Mm-hmm.
arrays. I'm not sure yet whether you can configure those to properly fully cover a tank or because the footprint of my new tank will be something like 72 by 42. So I might need something to fill in along the edges. I don't know yet. I haven't looked
Mm-hmm.
into it that much, but I would not hesitate to buy Orphec. And it's not they're
Yep.
not cheap. So it's not like getting an off-brand black box. It's but I think they're good value for
I'll
money.
agree with that. So I've not done, like I said, I've not done par testing. I've only done spectrum, which now I know what it's shooting, and but I have done spectrum and par with reef brights. And what I'm trying to understand is the price difference between an Orphic and a Reef Bright because there's about $30 difference. The Orphic is less expensive, and it appears to hit all of those marks that I would be looking for. So, from Cindy's experience with Orphic and my experience with Reef Bright, I would argue that you can't go wrong with either. I think they're both well-made lights that will last a long time. I mean, my Reef Brights, I have two of them that are really, really old and one of them that's relatively new, but they just keep working. And they haven't changed the design or style at all over the years. So you're getting something proven with a Reef Bright. But if you want something that looks a little fancier, I can tell you this is absolutely fancier. This is very pretty. This is silly the way I like how this lights. Whatever. I said it. I didn't expect it. Carlos, I agree. Lucky every day. Yes, sir. Totally agree. Gallo Reefer asked, is hydrogen peroxide safe to treat cyano? And then he changed it to dinos. What's up, Remy? How you doing? Thanks for yesterday. Gallo, I personally wouldn't. I have dinos in my tank. Take a look at what Billy Pipes has been doing lately. He's been challenged by some dinos. Take a look at solutions provided by both Bulk Resupply and Reef Dudes, Devon. There are solutions out there that may not necessarily involve peroxide. I would I would suggest that you look at alternatives, but you'll also find a ton of people on Reef to Reef or out there on YouTube that have been successful with peroxide. So um, just do your homework first, I think, and then reevaluate and see what maybe works best for you or what might work best for you. Is that fair? I think that's fair. Do you have experience with that, Sydney?
I had dinos once, and that was in my 29-gallon cube. It was probably, I want to say, 5 years ago. And I did the remove them manually every day
Mm-hmm.
for 3 months. That's how I
Okay.
got rid of them because I didn't really know what they were. Back then, there wasn't the same amount of information as there is now. There weren't the products that there are now. There, I think I must have had the type that uh, did well on high nutrients because I know for sure my nutrients were not too
Okay.
low. That was not the problem. And that was what I did every day for 3 months. I spent an hour siphoning that stuff out of my tank and doing water changes. and they
Yeah,
eventually
a
went
lot of
away.
it, I understand
Yeah.
it to be a bacterial balance thing. Um, and there
Hmm.
are some challenges to achieving that balance. Just Bulk Reef Supply did just do a decent series how to beat dinos. Just give that a watch. And then also, like I said, Reef Dudes has published. I actually DM me on Instagram, and I can send you. I'm sure I have it on my phone somewhere. The stuff that Devin published.
And I think Fish of Hex also right now has a product on his website, which is a dino identification kit. So he sends you packaging, you send him a sample, and he will examine it under a microscope and tell you what type of dinos you have.
Travis is silently
So,
doing amazing things.
mhm, he is.
He's kind of sneaking
Yep.
up on everybody, and I like what he's doing.
He's got
Absolutely.
focus. He's got such great focus.
He
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. You can watch his corals grow. Just go back a few months and then watch today, and you'll see the difference. The guy
Yeah.
knows what he's doing. I mean, I've bought coral from him before. And if you listen to him, he's a straight shooter. You know what you're getting from him, and he'll take care of you.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's smart.
Yeah. Well, it's a product I haven't heard anyone else talking about. And especially given we're now finding out of the different types of
Mm-hmm.
dinos that are out there, if you treat for the wrong one, like let's say you've got the one I had and you think your nutrients are too low and you start feeding the tank, it's obviously it's going to
That's a really
make it
good point.
worse.
Hobby Sci,
So
he just did a video. I don't know if you follow him. He just did a video. Steven.
I do. I really
Yep.
enjoy his videos.
Steven
Yep.
did a video. It's an
Yep.
identification video where he takes a sample out of his tank and he drops it on the slide and he scooches it around underneath the microscope, identifying a couple things. So that that's cool of
Yep.
Travis
Yep.
doing taking that on. That's a Nobody else is doing that. That's impressive for
Exactly.
him. And we're competing with him right now, which we don't mean to do. Sorry, Travis. All right. I think we covered everything that I had intended to discuss. Do you have any topics?
Nope, not really, other than Amro Azal is going live at about 8:30 for his very first
Awesome.
time ever on StreamYard. And he invited me to join him. So I said if this was over soon enough, I would, or I would drop by. And he's a really interesting guy as well. If you don't follow him, it's Amro, Amro. That's his name, and Azul just means blue, Azul.
Instagram or YouTube? You
And
said.
it'll
Okay.
be YouTube. Yeah. So that's, I'd say if you're interested in seeing what he has to talk about, he's about to hit 5,000
Oh,
subscribers on
amazing.
YouTube, which is
Yep.
pretty awesome. He does things like diving in the Red Sea, and he talks a lot about scientific papers that he kind of um, dissects and puts into layman's terms and interprets in the context of a reef tank, which I find
That's
really
awesome.
interesting. Just like Reef Man. Reef Man is another guy who takes the scientific stuff and applies it to what's going on in our reef tanks, and I really like that. And because of him, I'm going to be doing an experiment trying to replicate lunar cycles over my tank and see if I can get my corals to
Interesting.
spawn. And I have not told anybody that yet. I have the timer, I
Mhm.
have the 4100K light and the lamp fixture and everything.
That's
I'm ready to
awesome.
go. I just have I just have to do the calculations and pick a zone in the world that I want to find the
Yep.
lunar charts and just and go for it. So,
You will totally be
yeah.
successful. I have no doubt that you'll get that one figured out. There's people out there that are doing it. There's no reason why you can't.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's because of
Hmm.
Reef Man, and he's a really interesting
That's
guy.
cool. See, you
So,
follow some good people. Give
hey,
me the
listen.
emeralds again. Sorry.
Oh, Amro, Amro,
A Z
Azul.
U L.
I think it's Amro Azul
All right.
TV is
Yep,
his
I got
YouTube
it.
channel.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I understood your Z too. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Oh, Z?
Nope, it's
Sorry.
okay. I've spent a little bit of time in Winnipeg, so I got it there.
Oh, well then. The center of the world.
Oh, it's
Yes,
interesting.
Winnipeg. I've be-
Hmm.
I've been there.
It
It's nice. It's a nice
Everybody was
city.
very friendly, and I think
Yeah.
uh, uh, I've not experienced. Well, I have been there in the winter. I've been there in January, February. So I think it just comes down to that you have to be friendly, or you're just going to kill all your neighbors. I think that's just what you got to deal with.
Well, yeah. Kind of like our
Yeah,
isolation right
totally
now.
agree. All right, so you have 4 minutes to get over there. Thank you so much for
Oh,
hanging
well.
out. I really appreciate you helping both with the light, both with the stream. I think it's very cool of you to help me out. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate being here. It's always great to talk to fellow geeks because we don't always find each
That's
other, do
true.
we?
I think there's a higher opportunity for finding geeks in this hobby. I think that's part of what makes it fun.
Yep.
Another one, and I usually give a shout out. This is Flight Fest. Actually, it's a Flight Fest shirt. I follow a group called Flight Test on YouTube, and they're RC airplane guys, and they're hilarious. Um, Doing a whole lot of
Oh,
things
yeah.
for kids and STEM and whatever. They're a whole bunch of children that are adults building awesome things that fly or drive or whatever. So a bunch of geeks over there too,
Oh, that's
um,
cool.
but
Yep.
also a similar cooperative and supportive hobby, which I really, really appreciate. And you're absolutely one of those people I appreciate. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome, and thank you
All right,
too. And let me know how you get
I
on with
will.
the Orphek. I'm interested in what you find out about coming up with some
I
sort of a
absolutely
timer.
will. I will totally figure something out, and then hopefully I can provide that solution to you. All
That'd be
right.
great.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
So go ahead and sign off. Tell everybody who you are. They already know who you are anyway.
We'll do. Reef Girl signing off. I don't actually ever say that in my videos,
You
do I?
don't.
I have to come up with a
I
signature
always
out.
say happy reefing and be kind, everyone. So that's how I'll wrap it up. And if you feel like subscribing, even though Remy tells me not to say it, think about it. Thanks. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Like I
All right.
said,
Good night.
yeah,
Bye,
happy
everybody.
reefing and be kind. Thank y'all. Thanks, Cindy.
You. Yeah. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.